Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the NRF Awards 2021. Of course, last year we had to cancel this event because of the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, but this year we're going hybrid. We have a couple of you here in person. It's wonderful to see you and to realize that you do not just live on Zoom. And then we have all of our wonderful people on the other side, enjoying this celebration via the virtual platform. So to you, we want to say welcome and thank you that you are taking time out to join us today. Of course, we want you to be part of the celebration. So if you have access to some of the functionalities, please use that, right? Send emojis, take selfies, go wild. You can even ensure that your neighbors know that you got an award. So this is an evening where we celebrate. We want to have fun. Of course, those of you sitting at home, only dress from the bottom up. You are welcome to go to the bathroom at any time. Those of you sitting here in the auditorium, you are forced to sit. Because as you stand up, people at home will be able to see you on their screen, and they will know where you go, and they will wonder whether you washed your hands when you came back. So those of you on our virtual platforms, please enjoy the celebration with us. Take those selfies, use the hashtag NRF Awards 2021, and post on social media. So this is about the time that we need to get the show on the road. So I now invite you to watch the screen as we introduce the awards for 2021.
From the infinite to the infinitesimal, from the unseen landscapes that harbor the bustling essence of life, stirring molecules of energy into restless perpetual motion, to the towering portals of faraway galaxies that shimmer with the glow of light long gone. From the viruses that jump from one species to the other, threatening lives and damaging economies around the world, to the ever-shifting boundaries of the worlds that beckon us to venture deeper and deeper within and beyond. There is a force that compels us, that inspires us to chart the uncharted realm, to conquer the far horizon, to set the darkness ablaze with the light of discovery and understanding, and expand the global frontiers of knowledge. Science and research drive progress. They are the guiding lights that blaze a trail from our ancient heritage at the foot of Africa to to the brighter tomorrow that we ourselves must inscribe upon the stars. From 3D printed bones that help restore hearing, to an open source operating system that takes its name from our spirit of humanity, and a 30-year education project that's transformed our understanding of nurturing. South African innovators in the fields of natural and social science and the humanities have made their mark on the world, expanding the global frontiers of knowledge, formulating new ways of thinking, which help find solutions to our most pressing economic and social problems, and playing a vital role in the epicenter of a crisis that has threatened the very survival of our species. The COVID-19 pandemic spread rapidly around the world in 2020, putting public health systems under severe pressure and sparking lockdowns that curtailed economic activity and radically changed the way people work and live. South African researchers and scientists were at the forefront of the global quest to contain and combat the pandemic, helping to develop and test the vaccines that represent humanity's brightest hope against the virus. Our scientists and researchers are continuing to meet the challenge head-on, bringing hope to our nation. From the furthest reaches of the universe to the innermost workings of the human body, from the visionary pioneers who blazed the trail to the bright stars of today who shine in their light. From here in South Africa to the continent and the wide open world beyond. Research shapes our legacy. Research shapes our future. Tonight we honor and celebrate those who lead the way by expanding the global frontiers of knowledge. Welcome to the National Research Foundation Awards for 2021.
Right, so there you have it, an official welcome and introduction. While we are here, this is really a celebration where we understand that through science, we are advancing knowledge, we are inspiring a nation, and we are impacting lives. So we've got a full program, we've got a couple of categories that we need to go through, and we also have some speeches and contributions that will be coming your way. For those of you who've got access to the program, you might pick up later on that we had to change the program slightly to accommodate Minister Bladen's Monday. So we've moved the program around, and we're going to start off with the official welcome, which comes from the chairperson of the NRF board, Dr. Nompumelelo Oboko. Ma'am, I welcome you to the stage as you address and welcome us to this celebration.
Program Director, Minister of Higher Education, Science and Innovation, Dr. Bonginkosi Nzimande, Deputy Minister of Higher Education, Science and Innovation, Mr. Buti Manamela, Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Higher Education, Science and Technology, Honorable Nompendulo Mkhatshwa, Director General of the Department of Science and Innovation, Dr. Phil Mjwara, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening and thank you for joining us for the 2021 National Research Foundation Awards here in Pretoria. The theme for this year's awards is South African Scientists Expanding the Global Frontiers of Knowledge. On behalf of the board and management of the National Research Foundation, I would like to welcome you all to this very special NRF Awards Ceremony, one in which we honor both our 2020 and 2021 awardees. And due to its hybrid nature, it's being attended in person by a limited number of guests here at the NRF and virtually by guests from across the country. And another new exciting development is the recent appointment of Dr. Fulufelo Nolomondo as the NRF's new CEO. Dr. Nolomondo is a seasoned executive who has worked in the National System of Innovation with multiple stakeholders in both the public and private sectors and has led complex organizational outfits in the forefront of research, development, and innovation in key areas such as artificial intelligence, communication technologies, and data science that underpins the fourth industrial revolution. He has an extensive and successful track record in spearheading innovation-driven portfolios that yielded significant financial returns and societal impact. We look forward to seeing his vision in leading the NRF to new heights unfold, especially considering the country's need for scientific research and innovation to continue to impact the lives of all South Africans positively. This evening's ceremony, as with many others since 2020, takes place under conditions of some uncertainty and anxiety brought about by the devastating impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the lives of people in our country and across the globe. The pandemic, as we all know, has also presented an unprecedented challenge to public health, people's livelihoods, and the world of work. These challenges have underscored the importance of research in society. Our scientists and healthcare professionals have been our beacon of hope by rising to the occasion in continuing to expand the global frontiers of knowledge, particularly in key areas that have helped mitigate the impact of COVID-19. And even during this turbulent time, our researchers have committed and continued to nurture the country's knowledge economy in many other scientific fields as well. For example, the latest science makes it clear that in order to prevent the catastrophic effects of climate change, an accelerated shift to low emissions or carbon neutral society is required. And as such, the discussions and negotiations that are taking place at the United Nations Climate Change Conference this week in Glasgow, the COP26 conference, South Africa, through science-based policies, is also forging ahead with its commitment to transition to a low-carbon economy to ensure a climate-resilient society. The NRF recognizes that in order for it to continue to positively contribute to our national growth path, we need to adopt such bold and innovative strategic decisions that will contribute to the realization of sustainable societal benefits. As a result, the key attributes of the NRF's new strategic direction, as captured by the NRF Vision 2030, is a paradigm shift towards the realization of positive impact of research and innovation on national development, and that of research for a better society. The strategy is further built on the organization's core values and unwavering commitment on transformation, impact, excellence, and sustainability. The achievements and forward-looking measures of the NRF are not only in advancing knowledge for the benefit of society, but also in helping to create a fully transformed research landscape. The NRF recognizes the need, therefore, to strategically invest in the cohort of researchers and to transform, renew, and replenish a sustainable science system. In terms of addressing gender equity, women now account for 58% of total postgraduate support and 48% of the total number of active research chairs under the South African Research Chairs Initiative. However, we still face a number of challenges in achieving a truly representative research cohort, and as such, we will continue to work relentlessly to increase the number of Black postgraduates, postdoctoral, as well as rated researchers. The achievements that the NRF has attained over the years have been due to many efforts from individuals representing various entities, and I'm honored that some of these important partners have been able to join us tonight. Finally, and most importantly, I wish to congratulate all the awardees we are celebrating and honoring tonight. You have made and you continue to make an invaluable influence in the trajectory of the South African research arena. From our next generation and early career researchers to our P and A rated researchers, and of course our special awards recipients. Together you represent the prime of South Africa's research excellence. Your work not only expands the global frontiers of knowledge, but it also serves as an inspiration for those who are yet to come and who will renew and replenish our research cohort. Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to also remind us this evening that climate change is the greatest global environmental and human health threat that we face today. Our action or inaction will no doubt impact our children and the most vulnerable groups in our society. I therefore urge all of us to heed the global call to act now by making choices that have less harmful effects on the environment. Let us save our planet for the next or future generations to enjoy a resource-secure future and also thrive. Let us continue to be part of the solution and influence change through science, technology, and innovation. I thank you and wish us all a great evening.
Thank you very much, Dr. Oboko. Thanks for that backdrop that you provided us, against which we can measure what we're doing and try and understand the impact and the context in which we do it. So from the chairperson of the NRF board, it's now my privilege to welcome to the podium the minister. Dr. Bonginkosi Emmanuel Blade Nzimande is one of South Africa's leading politicians. He's also a sociologist, a philosopher, an educator, an anti-apartheid activist, and our country's current Minister of Higher Education, Science and Innovation. Besides his many years fighting apartheid, he spent time in academia lecturing at the University of Zululand and as a council member at the University of South Africa, the University of Transkei, and the University of KwaZulu-Natal. He holds a doctorate in sociology and is a published author. The minister can't be with us in person, but he is connecting live via technology. So those of you who are online thinking, ooh, I'm missing out, check the minister as he leads the way. Ladies and gentlemen, your hands and mine, Minister Blade Nzimande.
Program Director, thank you very much. Deputy Minister, Mr. Puti Manamela, the Chair of the Portfolio Committee, Ms. Nompendulo Mkhatshwa, the Chairperson of the NRF Board, Dr. Nompumelelo Oboko, and all board members present, the Director General of our Department of Science and Innovation, Dr. Philip Jwaga, the CEO of the NRF, Dr. Fulufelo Nuramondo, Deputy Directors General present, University and Science Councils representatives, researchers, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It is indeed my privilege and honor to address you at this auspicious occasion, marking the 2021 Annual National Research Foundation Awards. Let me take this opportunity to congratulate very warmly the researchers whose work will be affirmed and recognized this evening. Indeed, I wish I was there physically. The purpose of the NRF Awards is to recognize excellence and achievements by South African scientists and researchers in knowledge creation and dissemination, as well as human capacity development and transformation of the national science system. To illustrate our continued commitment to advance science, technology, and innovation, my Department of Science and Innovation developed a new policy framework for science and technology, which is contained in the new white paper on science and technology and innovation. To realize the objectives of the new white paper, we have developed a decadal plan on science, technology, and innovation, which will serve as an initial 10-year implementation plan over the period 2020 to 2030. To practically demonstrate our capacity as a government working together with the entire national system of innovation, we've responded to the COVID-19 pandemic in line with our vision as contained in the decadal plan. In responding to the COVID-19 pandemic, our South African researchers across the scientific spectrum rose to the occasion, committing their expertise, time, and resources to developing solutions to manage the crisis, monitor its impact, and more importantly, found ways to fight the disease, assisting us locally, but also contributing to the global body of knowledge on COVID-19. Honorable Program Director, our infrastructure in response to COVID-19, I'm proud to say, include the KwaZulu-Natal Research Innovation and Sequencing Platform, which saw local scientists lead investigations into the evolutionary characteristics of SARS-CoV-2 and detected a new variant dubbed 501Y-V2. Also, I can mention the Center for Proteomic and Genomic Research, the South African Biodiversity Institute, whose research and development portfolio includes pathogen genomics and the skills needed in the areas of vaccines, biochemistry, microbiology, and genetics, among others. We also established an indigenous knowledge-based research team that is investigating 7 monoherbal and 2 multi-herbal medicine formulations with potential relevance to COVID-19. Progress is also continuing to be made in finding ways to alleviate poverty and to improve education. And new discoveries are being made in areas such as energy, nutrition, nature conservation, economic development, and more. Just to highlight the NRF's contribution to support our human resources development drive, the NRF awarded at least 3,000 research grants to researchers based at various research performing institutions in our country. These include grants earmarked to support emerging and established researchers through various programs such as Tutuga, the New Generation of Academics program, NRF-rated researchers, established and unrated researchers, the South African Research Chairs Initiative, SACI, and the Centers of Excellence. Let me share with you some of the interventions our scientists, very briefly, have made in our national system of innovation. They include data modeling through the CSIR CMO Situational Awareness Platform for COVID-19. This provides close to real-time data on the coronavirus outbreak per province, district, local municipality, right up to the level of the ward. The South African Population Research Infrastructure Network ran on sample of households research to document the knowledge, behavior, and outcomes of these households in relation to COVID-19, especially social and health interventions. Our Human Sciences and Research Council surveys measured the public response to COVID-19 and the effects of the lockdown. The South African Radio Astronomy Observatory, I'm very pleased, participated in the National Ventilator Project, producing the first ever ventilator for our country. The deployment of hydrogen fuel cells in hospitals and medical facilities. I'm also pleased, Chair, Program Director, to say that Cabinet has also approved my Department of Science and Innovation strategy to drive a multi-pronged national vaccine production and development strategy to secure our nation's long-term pandemic preparedness. I'm also particularly pleased that the commitment by expatriates, most notably Dr. Patrick Soon-Shiong, a former graduate of Wits University, to invest in our nation's future pandemic security. Going forward, one of our tasks is to ensure that we increase our investment into research and development from the current 0.81% of the GDP to the target of 1.5% as contained in the National Development Plan. We also need to give greater agency to reversing the enduring vestiges of apartheid discrimination by attending to the training and development of a new capable cohort of scientists, engineers, and researchers. I would like to say that at the heart of the higher education, science, and innovation landscape is the absolute necessity to transform what I call the relations of knowledge production, especially their patriarchal, racial, and class features. The NRF must be at the center of this enormous task and challenge to transform relations of knowledge production in our country. We also need to position our national system of innovation and indeed our post-school education and training system together to bring all their institutional resources and human talent to tackle especially local scale economic development challenges. The district development model, as led by our President Cyril Ramaphosa, provides a perfect opportunity for all our institutions, regardless of their typological status, to become embedded in districts in which they are located. Indeed, it's important that we also take science to the grassroots, to the people. It is in this context that my ministry has initiated a new concept of district-level education and innovation precincts to bring together otherwise disparate universities, TVET colleges, community education and training colleges, the CETAs, the schools, and other innovation players in particular parts of the country to focus resources and energies around socio-economic development. The first of such precinct is the Imbali district, is in Imbali Township in Pietermaritzburg in KZN. At a policy and system level, I believe that the alignment of the Department of Higher Education and Training and the Department of Science and Innovation under a single ministry offers us new and as yet unexplored opportunities for much greater synergy in our system. We have already begun to experiment with joining up of key policy levers to reduce wastage, optimize efficiency, and exploit new opportunities more vigorously. For example, in postgraduate bursary and scholarship funding, infrastructure funding, capacity development, and so on. The Ministerial Task Team report, I'm also pleased to say, on the higher education, science, technology, innovation, institutional landscape was recently submitted to the ministry and we have been studying it carefully. We will be releasing the report for public comment soon. I urge you to engage with it in the light of some of the issues that I've raised above. As I conclude, Program Director, let me congratulate once more all who will be receiving awards this evening. We are all phenomenal and our nation's hope and pride. I, for one, I am indeed proud of you all. I also take this opportunity to thank once more the NRF's board, management, participating universities, the adjudicators, and all supervisors. I wish you all a wonderful evening in celebration of science. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Minister Nzimande. Thank you for making time in your busy schedule. But thank you also for affirming the work that is done by researchers and the contribution that they make, but also just reminding us that as we take time to celebrate where we are and what we achieved, we realize that there's still a lot of work that we need to do. So if we want to go far, obviously, we need to take people with us. Right, so we are now at that point in our program where it's time to get on with the awards. For an MC, this of course becomes a nightmare because there's an expectation that I'm able to pronounce all the words and names that I'm about to see on the screen. But I just need to remind you and also our viewers there at home, I am not a minister and that is not your baptism. So if what comes out of my mouth is not your name, just pretend that you know that it is you. So we're going to start with our first category. Of course, that is in person. But of course, we want you sitting at home to celebrate with us. So remember to participate and use those functionalities as we move forward. So we're going to start with our first category. And I'm going to invite to the stage Drs. Uboko and Dr. Nelwamondo to join me as we hand over these tokens to celebrate the excellence. Of course, I just need to indicate to the recipients that on the stage there are 4 markers. The middle 2 is kind of where you need to end up. Dr. Nelwamondo, you'll be on the one side eventually, and ma'am, you'll be on the other side. And of course, if you mess this up, everybody at home and the whole world will see that you messed this up because people are watching live as we journey. So our first category, NRF 2021, is the Research Excellence Award for Next Generation Researchers. So in recognition of outstanding research performance of final year doctoral students who are currently funded by the NRF to address skills shortages in the fields of science, engineering, technology, the humanities and the social sciences, that is why we have this category and that is why we have this award. So again, we are giving awards for both years 2020 and 2021. So we're going to start off with 2020 and we're going to start with the natural sciences. So the recipients for 2020 in our first category, we have Dr. Alexandre Delport from the University of KwaZulu-Natal. The second recipient is Dr. Beata from the University of Johannesburg. So I invite both of them to come to the stage to receive their tokens. You, of course, are the first ones up. And as I say, if you mess this up, the whole world will see that you were unable to follow simple instructions. So here we are, the two recipients. Well done. You are able and willing to grab your tokens. Token number 1 and then token number 2. And you can position yourself on dot number 2. There we go. Thank you, Dr. Nyamondo. You'll hand over the next one and then we'll take the photo at the end. Yeah. So you can just, no, you go, there we go. Lovely, lovely. As I said, follow simple instructions. So the rest of you, of course, you now get a sense of where you will stand so that the audience, of course, do not laugh at you. Right, so there we have our first two 2020 recipients in natural sciences. Let's give them a round of applause. And those of you sitting at home, please join us as we celebrate excellence in this category. Well done again. Moving on from 2020 to 2021, we have two more recipients. The first one in the same category goes to Dr. Nilakshi Mungra. Hope I've got that right. So well done to you. And the second recipient, Professor Olufofemi Adebu from the South African Institute for Aquatic Biodiversity. If you can make your way up on the right-hand side, sir, that would be fantastic. You receive your tokens, you pause, you smile. We take a wonderful photo and we celebrate you. I can just see you guys at home going crazy, sending your emojis, celebrating with you. Of course, there will be a little bit of a cocktail party later on and we will really get to the celebration. So once again, congratulations to our recipients, Natural Sciences for 2020 and 2021. Right, moving on to our next area of specialization, we move to engineering and or technology. And again, we have two recipients each for the years 2020 and 2021. So first up, for 2021, our Excellence Award, Next Generation Researcher Engineering, goes to Dr. Tebogo Mashifana from Durban University of Technology. And the second one to Mr. Emmanuel Tete from Durban University of Technology. Probably I got the first one wrong because I am too slow, but that is all good. So well done again to our recipients for 2020 in specialization area engineering and technology. Just look at them, dressed all the way from top to toe, because this is not online. For those of you at home, we know that you only dress from the waist up, but that is okay. That's the way we do it. So well done to you. You can also come through as we just wait for the next token to come from the back. Of course, we're celebrating Dr. Tebogo. Sorry, where am I now? I moved on the wrong page. Do I have them right? Are we waiting for? Is that it? All right, let me just double check. Where am I? Am I on the right page? Too many pages. 2020 was Dr. Tebogo and Dr. Moses Masitere. Or did I? No. Where am I? Am I ahead of myself? I have to slow down. Dr. Emmanuel Tete, Durban University of Technology. That's right. Okay, all right. Thank you for the technical team. Thank you for bringing me back. I have clearly turned 2 pages at the same time. Getting too excited. I'm ahead of myself. Way ahead. There we go. All right, there we go. Touch, pause, engage. They look happy. They have received their tokens. All right, they can move down. I'll sort out the technical details. Apologies, colleagues. Of course, it's online and Gillian is all over the show. But let me just see as we move on to the next. Are we now in the next category? Let me just double check with my team. We're going to the next category, which is the Research Excellence Award for Early Career and Emerging Researchers. So just to remind you that the Excellence Award Right, so the Research Excellence Award for Early Career Researchers, the NRF aspires to develop and enhance the research stature of early career emerging researchers, prioritizing black, female, and people with disabilities as part of its transformation agenda. So we start off again in this category in 2020 for natural sciences. Apologies that I am too slow. For 2020, the awards go to Professor Pragashni Govender, and then to Dr. Ludla. So well done to our recipients. And again, apologies to all you viewers. You are online and I'm here in person. It's the first time that we've been at a live event, and you can even pick up from me that I haven't been out that often. Because normally when I'm at home and I'm doing things at home, I've got alcohol with me, but here there's no alcohol, so it's just me messing it up all by myself. Right, so from 2020 we move to 2021. Two recipients again. The first award goes to Professor Mapoli, also from the Natural Sciences from the University of South Africa. And the second award goes to Professor Adebo from the University of Johannesburg. So this is our Excellence Award for Emerging or Early Career Researchers, and we're celebrating the awardees for the year 2020, and this now for 2021. Wonderful. Right, so from the natural sciences, we move to engineering and or technology. Again, two recipients, one for 2020 and one for 2021. So we're going to start with 2020 engineering, early or emerging researchers. First of all, Dr. Tebogo Mashifana from the University of Johannesburg. And then Dr. Moses Basitere from Cape Peninsula University of Technology. Right, from 2020 we move to 2021. The first recipient is Dr. Isabel Brink. She's attending virtually, so we give her a high five, virtual high five. Well done, Dr. Isabel Brink. And then the second recipient is Professor Namdi Mvulu from the University of Johannesburg. Right. From engineering and technology, we move on to social sciences and humanities. Again, we start with 2020. There's one recipient, and the award then for 2020 social sciences goes to Professor Christopher Omer. That's also a virtual attendee, so we'll just give them the high five and we celebrate you wherever you are. Celebrate, jump around, and take that selfie. Then we have, for 2021, we have two recipients. The first one, for social sciences and humanities, the award goes to Professor Sinead Barnabas from the University of Johannesburg. And the second recipient, Professor Moses Puku, also from the University of Johannesburg. So well done again to our recipients. That's Professor Sinead Barnabas and Professor Moses Puku receiving the 2021 award. Congratulations. Thank you, Drs. Oboko and Nelwamondo. You're welcome to take your seats. I know you are eager to go and sanitize because you were just on stage in close proximity of people. Right, so hopefully I've redeemed myself and we are back on track. So we're going to move to our next category, and this category will all be virtual. So we are celebrating you at home. Of course, we know that you are excited, so we want you to jump and cheer, invite the neighbors over for a beer. Just make sure that they pay for their own as you invite them over. So our next category then is the P-rated researcher category. A P rating is assigned to researchers under the age of 35 who have held a doctorate or equivalent qualification for less than 5 years at the time of application. These researchers are considered likely to become future leaders in their respective fields on the basis of exceptional potential demonstrated in research performance and output during doctoral and/or early postdoctoral careers. So after I've announced the winners, they will introduce themselves and their research through a 1-minute video. So we're going to start with 2020, and I just need to acknowledge Elsevier as our sponsor for this category. So for 2020, the first award goes to Dr. Stephen Hussey.
I work in the field of tree biotechnology and bioengineering, particularly in eucalyptus. I study how the stem cells that comprise the body of the tree grow and differentiate to form the massive amounts of biomass that comprises the world's forests. My research aims to understand the gene networks that control how wood is formed in forest trees. I investigate wood development at a molecular level to understand the mechanisms by which genes are turned on and off at different stages of growth. Together with my colleagues, we build models of gene networks and test genes of interest that influence the traits we wish to improve in commercial forestry. I've always been fascinated by how plants grow. It is my hope that I can contribute fundamental new knowledge about the secrets of plant growth and development, both for our appreciation of nature as well as our sustainable development as a species.
So well done. Our second recipient for 2020, Dr. Michelle Lochner.
My research involves developing artificial intelligence techniques to analyze enormous data sets from telescopes like Meerkat in South Africa and the Virus Rubin Observatory, which is under construction in Chile. The SKA will take petabytes of data every day, while the Rubin Observatory will detect 10 million things changing on the sky every single night. The question is, how do we make new scientific discoveries amongst this mountain of data? My work leverages the human-machine interface, taking advantage of scientists' expert knowledge to train machine learning algorithms to detect rare and unusual sources. I'm driven by curiosity. Since a child, I looked up at the stars and wanted to understand them. It's a dream come true to be an astronomer, and I hope to do my small bit to enhance humanity's knowledge. I'm passionate about training the next generation of scientists, but also about gender equality. I run an international mentoring program for women and gender minorities in physics that has nearly 400 members in over 50 countries.
Right, for the year 2021, we have 6 awardees. The first one is Dr. Matteo Grilli.
I'm an historian specialized in modern and contemporary African history. I work mostly on Pan-Africanism, African nationalism, and decolonization. Right now, I'm working on the history of liberation movements in Lesotho, Botswana, and Eswatini, and their connections with global networks. In the past, I worked mostly on Kwame Nkrumah's support to the liberation and unity of the African continent, which is also the theme of my book. My work is mostly based in conducting interviews with those that witnessed the events that I study, if they are still alive, looking for documents in archives and writing. It is similar to the work a detective does, only I have no criminal to apprehend nor any crime to solve. My goal is always to help people know their past better in order for them to have a deeper understanding of the world they live in. I strongly believe that the past can teach us useful things about our present. I also hope to build a bridge of knowledge between the world where I come from, which is Europe, and the world that I study, which is Africa.
The next recipient, Dr. Ryan Neft.
My primary research area is cognitive science, which is an interdisciplinary field encompassing fields like psychology, neuroscience, linguistics, philosophy, and artificial intelligence. My research focuses on the connections between disciplines, especially centered around the concept of natural language, how it's produced and modeled. I investigate what cognitive scientists and linguists mean when they talk about structures. I am attempting to give a precise and unifying conception of what a cognitive structure is, and in so doing, I'm making use of a framework called mathematical structuralism in order to answer the questions that follow. My main motivation is to explore open questions. These are the big questions in the field that have yet to receive coherent or satisfying answers. My hope is to get cognitive scientists and philosophers talking to each other about related goals and motivations.
Our third recipient, Dr. Robert Skelton.
I'm a botanist studying plant physiological function during and after periods of water limitation, or drought. My research ultimately seeks to provide greater insights into the capacity of natural systems to withstand climate change. I'm investigating how plants respond to drought in a variety of fundamental ways. For example, by detecting the precise level of dehydration beyond which individual plants fail to recover following periods of drought and rehydration, allows us to describe and predict how plants in natural communities will respond to climate change. We are on the brink of an ecological catastrophe. No threat to humanity is greater or more urgent than that of biodiversity loss. For me, this underscores the timely importance of understanding more about the natural world, and of celebrating biodiversity and its role in sustaining healthy, happy human lives.
And our fourth recipient for 2021 is Dr. Nicholas Spall.
I work in the field of the economics of education, which is an applied field. We work on real-world questions that tackle issues that are relevant to policymakers. How many children can read, looking at the supply of teachers over the next 10 years and how this might impact the budget. These are all questions I'm really passionate about, but I think the thing that I'm most interested in at the moment is early reading and early maths. Why is it that so many children don't learn how to read and don't learn how to calculate with understanding in grades 1, 2, and 3? That's something that all of my research on at the moment focuses on with interventions in the Eastern Cape, in the Western Cape, and in Limpopo. I've always loved teaching and knowledge. I remember even when I was in grade 1 and they asked you, what are you going to do when you grow up? And I remember writing down, and I've been told that I wrote this down, that I wanted to be a diver or a teacher. And I think that's something that's always stuck with me, the passion for education, and that education really is the way that we get to a more just and fairer South Africa.
Our second last recipient for 2021 is Dr. Rosalie Tosteven.
I'm a geochemist, and I'm interested in how ocean chemistry has changed over the last 4 billion years and the ways in which this has influenced the evolution of life. I analyze trace elements that are trapped in sedimentary rocks, and I combine the results with experiments to reconstruct how oxygen and nutrient levels have varied over geological time. I focus on big events such as the origin of life, early microbial evolution, and the first appearance of animals. My ultimate goal is to unravel the close relationship between the living world and the environment. By focusing on extreme events when conditions were very different to today, we can learn a lot about the limits of life and its resilience to change. I love the natural world, and I'm motivated by curiosity. And geology also takes me to some beautiful and remote places, including my field sites in the Northern Cape. My favorite aspect of the job is working with graduate students and witnessing them develop into the next generation of experts.
And our sixth and last recipient for 2021, P-rated scientist, Dr. Christopher Trissos.
My research focus is environmental change, especially climate change. My research team predicts where and when climate change risks to people and ecosystems will occur, and also how we can reduce these risks. Examples of our work include climate change risks to biodiversity, to food production, how climate change affects malaria, as well as climate change adaptation, including tracking public finance for climate action. My research team and I combine knowledge from across the social and environmental sciences to inform more rapid, just, and equitable responses to the climate crisis. The climate crisis motivates me, both the impacts we are already suffering as a society, as well as the severe risks we face in South Africa, Africa, and globally. I aim to improve our understanding of climate change risks and enable more rapid policy responses to reduce risks from climate change.
Right, so well done again to all our P-rated scientists, and again a special word of thanks goes to Elsevier for their sponsorship. Of course, we would have loved to have you here in person, but we know that there where you are, you guys are having a party, you are opening the bubbly, and some of your neighbors that you sent the link to, they're actually looking at you now and thinking, I saw you going with a briefcase every morning, but I had no idea what you did, but now I do. So well done again to all of you. So before we move to the A-rated category, just allow me to redeem myself. So I'm going to ask Dr. Oboko and Dr. Nelmo Mondo, if you would just join me on stage just briefly. There's two people that I skipped as I was rushing through the program. So I'm just going to call back our two awardees in the Research Excellence Award Next Generation, the recipients for 2021. Apologies again. That was Dr. Nilakshi Mungra and Dr. Takudzwa Madzivanzira. Sorry? Is it one? So I messed it up again. Is it Emmanuel? Oh, just the one. Okay, so I don't have to, yeah, okay. So, but I mean, it was both, and I neglected him when we handed over the token. So apologies to that. So we did acknowledge Dr. Mungra, but I omitted Dr. Madzivanzira. Thank you very much for just allowing me to just rectify my previous mistake. All right, so from the P-rated category, we now move to our A-rated category. And through the course of the evening, we actually will have three, in a sense, awards given to A-rated scientists. We'll start off with those getting the award for the first time. then later on those getting it for the second time, and then later for 3 and more. So for you, those of you who do not know, of course, the NRF rating is a formal evaluation of a researcher's publication output and positioning over a number of years. So when we talk about an A-rated scientist, we talk about a researcher who is unequivocally recognized by their peers as world-leading scholars in their respective fields. So we have a number of them, and again, this will be done virtually. So I will call out the name, and then we will celebrate with you, even though you are not here with us in person. So we're going to start with the A-rated scientists, the first time that they get this award for those who got it in 2020. And the first award goes to Professor Willem Boshoff. So Professor Willem Boshoff is an A-rated scientist at the University of the Free State, and his research focuses on conceptual art, sculpture, and printed media. Our second 2020 first-time A-rated scientist is Professor Colin Chapman from the University of KwaZulu-Natal. His research focuses on conservation, primatology, forest restoration, and mammalogy. The third scientist that we recognize is none other than Professor Dieter Heiss from the Department of Physics at the University of Stellenbosch. His research is related to theoretical physics and mathematical physics. Still in 2020, the next researcher that we celebrate is none other than Professor Elmi Miller, Dean, Faculty of Medicine and Health Science at Stellenbosch University, and her research specifically looks at the transplantation of organs and tissues. Next up, 2020, A-rated scientist for the first time, Professor James Ogude from the University of Pretoria. His research is, amongst others, related to languages and literature, specifically also African literature. Then next up, our sixth awardee for 2020, Professor Mario Santos from the University of the Western Cape. His research is related to cosmology, radio telescopes, and astrostatistics. Let's give a round of applause and we celebrate all our 2020 recipients. Right, so from 2020 we go to 2021. So let's see who we celebrate this year. First time A-rated scientists. First up, we have Professor Unsi Bix from Stellenbosch University. Her research is related to, amongst others, socio-ecological resilience. She looks at ecological systems, regime shifts, and scenario planning. The next recipient for 2021 is none other than Professor Michael Bruford from the University of Pretoria. His interest is linked to biodiversity and conservation biology, animal genomics, ecology and evolution, livestock genetics. I know it sounds as if I know what I'm talking about, but I've got no idea. Our next A-rated scientist that we celebrate for 2021, none other than Professor Michael Cleese from the University of Cape Town. He is, amongst others, interested in heterogeneous catalysis, Fischer-Tropsch synthesis, metal nanoparticles, and nanomaterial synthesis. So well done to you, Professor Michael. Our next recipient for 2020, A-rated scientist for the first time, Professor Kevin Durheim from the University of KwaZulu-Natal. He is interested in social psychology, intergroup relations and prejudices, race and racism, and behavioral sciences. Our next recipient for 2021 is Professor Julia Sloth-Nielsen from the University of the Western Cape. Her research is related to international children's rights, child and family law, as well as human rights, focusing on Africa. Our second last in this category for 2021, Professor Crane Sudin from the Human Sciences Research Council, with research interests linked to social diversity, educational change, education policy and curriculum, and comparative education. And our last recipient for the year 2021, none other than Professor Giona Tuzzini from the University of Cape Town. His research is linked to Italian literature of the 20th century, mysticism and literature, medieval literary studies, and Renaissance studies. So well done to all our A-rated scientists for 2020 and 2021. So from the A-rated, the first group, we're going to move over to our next category, which is the Public Engagement with Research Award. And I'm going to call on Dr. Matutu and Mr. Dutoy to join me on stage, please. So when we talk about public engagement in research, this award recognizes individuals in the research community at South African higher education institutions and science councils who make outstanding contributions to public engagement with and understanding of various areas of science over a sustained period. So this year we have 2 awards in the public engagement category. The first one will be virtual, so we will just celebrate. First recipient of the Public Engagement with Research Award goes to Professor Liesel Zulke. So she's the recipient for the 2020. Five, 4, 3, 2. Do you know the chorus, "Give me oil in my lamp"? All right, for those of you at home who thought that you didn't pay for your Wi-Fi account, that's not what happened. We just went through something called load shedding. So here I was thinking that I was messing up the evening, and somebody else appeared and did a way better job. But we are back, we are live. The people sitting here, of course, you should have seen them, because actually I could not, because it was just dark. But we are back, we are live, and we are back with our Public Engagement Award. And as we said, the first award, 2020, went to Professor Liesel Zulke. So Liesel, where you are there at home, we celebrate you. Well done for achieving this and being acknowledged for that in 2020. For 2021, the award goes to Professor Rachel Weinberg. So Professor Rachel Weinberg is from the University of Cape Town, Department of Environmental and Geographical Science, the recipient of the Public Engagement with Research Award for 2021. No, she can go. The two of you will stay. We've got some more. Yeah, we've got some more work for you to do. Thank you very much, and well done again, Professor Rachel. Our next category is the Champion of Research Capacity Development and Transformation at a South African higher education institution. This award acknowledges an individual's efforts in helping nurture the next generation of talented researchers within the research community, thereby contributing to the transformation of South Africa's community and landscape. So we have, again, 2 awards going to 2 people. The first one, again, will be virtually, but there is a 1-minute video that will tell us more about the work being done. So the first award in our Champion of Research.
My field of research is electrochemistry, in which we design and produce smart nanomaterials and harness their electrochemical properties for application in the construction of sensors, electrocatalytic reactors, and energy generation cells. Among the sensors we research on are those for medical diagnostics, for example, those used in disease antigen tests for breast cancer, prostate cancer, TB, and recently for COVID-19, and for sustainable environmental management applications. The role of excellent research infrastructure and resources in inspiring students to take up career in science research cannot be overemphasized. For that purpose, I established the University of the Western Cape Sensor Laboratories, also known as Sensor Lab, as a center of excellence that has state-of-the-art research facilities for postgraduate studies and training. I am very passionate about training the next generation of researchers, particularly from the previously disadvantaged groups. I would like to immensely thank my Sensor Lab colleagues with whom I've collaborated in capacity building effort.
The awardee for 2021, Professor Sabia Esak.
My research focuses on antibiotic resistance. We map the fluidity of drug-resistant bacteria, antibiotic resistance genes, and mobile genetic elements between humans, food animals, and the environment. Our goal is to understand transmission dynamics and risks associated with antibiotic resistance. I contribute to capacity development and transformation by empowering my students to master the research process, which includes getting their research published. I integrate them into my research networks and facilitate their career trajectories by identifying scholarships, international exchange opportunities, and employment. As a scientist, I am committed to alleviating antibiotic resistance, particularly on the African continent, so that future generations have sustainable access to efficacious antibiotics. As a supervisor, I want to leave a legacy of having mentored and trained the next generation of scientists, so they stand on my shoulders to see further, reach higher, and achieve so much more.
All right, so well done again to our two recipients, and a special shout out to Professor Emmanuel, who's connecting virtually. So well done to you, recipient for 2020. Right, well done. Thank you very much. And a special word of thanks to Dr. Matutu and Mr. Tutwe. Thank you very much for assisting me. You are welcome to take your seats again. Our next category is the Hamilton Naki Award. So the Hamilton Naki Award, named after a self-taught surgeon who developed his career against all odds. This award recognizes an individual for outstanding efforts to advance his or her career in science and for achieving world-class research performance despite considerable challenges. So this year, the award goes to Professor Sharon Prince, who's unable to be with us physically, but she's celebrating at home. So watch the screen as she tells us more.
I head a cancer biology laboratory which consists of approximately 20 researchers. Our research focuses on understanding the molecular and cellular mechanisms that underpin cancer, as well as identifying therapeutic interventions that can lead to rapid, cheap, and effective cancer drugs. The primary focus of my research team is to identify therapeutic interventions to treat cancers that are highly relevant to the African continent. To date, we've identified at least 3 lead anti-cancer drugs that we believe may be important for cancer patients globally and importantly accessible to the poorest nations in the world. The challenges that I faced growing up in a large, poor family in apartheid South Africa, especially being a woman and a person of color, has prepared me well for the potholes and the unexpected glimpses of success in scientific endeavors. Through my journey, I've been extremely fortunate to work with some of the brightest and most committed postgraduate students and researchers. This continues to motivate me to explore and achieve solutions to the cancer challenges.
Right, so well done again, and congratulations to Professor Sharon Prince, Hamilton Naki Award winner. So we return to the A-rated researchers. This time, we're looking at those who are receiving the award for a second time. So we're going to start again with 2020, second time A-rated scientist. The first award goes to Professor Quraisha Abdul Karim from the University of KwaZulu-Natal. Her research interests are linked to the following: HIV and AIDS research, HIV prevention, public health interventions, and bioethics. The second recipient, second time A-rated scientist, Professor Fernando Alberizio from the University of KwaZulu-Natal. His research is linked to, amongst others, antimicrobial peptides, synthetic peptides, green chemistry, and medicinal chemistry. The next award, 2020, A-rated scientist for the second time, Professor Ntebelo Nyokong from Rhodes University, chemistry. Her research interests linked to electrochemistry, photophysics, and nanomaterials. The fourth and last in the 2020 group is Professor Brenda Wingfield from the University of Pretoria. Her research interests are linked to fungal population biology, fungal genetics, and fungal genomics. Let's give a round of applause to our 2020 A-rated scientists for the second time. From 2020, we move to 2021. Here we've got 10 awardees. The first award goes to Professor Romil Dave from the University of the Western Cape, Physics and Astrophysics. He's interested in things such as galaxy formation and evolution, cosmology, and large-scale structure, multi-wavelength astronomy. And that is just to name the small things. The second recipient for 2021, A-rated scientist for the second time, Professor Andries Engelbrecht from Stellenbosch University. He does a lot of research and, amongst others, looks at machine learning, swarm intelligence, evolutionary computation, and data analytics. Our third recipient, 2020 A-rated scientist for the second time, Professor Maxim Finkelstein from the University of the Free State. His research linked to reliability theory, stochastic modeling, and stochastic processes. Next up, A-rated scientist for the second time, Professor Christopher Henshelwood from the University of the Witwatersrand. His research is linked to archaeology, the African continent, and archaeology, specifically looking at cultural heritage. He is real rock star. Our next award, 2021, A-rated scientist for the second time. This time the award goes to Professor Donald Kurtz. He's from the Northwest University, and his research is linked to things like astereoseismology, binary star-stellar oscillations, and stellar variability. That's just for you at home to check whether you are still paying attention. I'm sure you're sending in little emojis to tell me how bad I am doing. Next up, our next recipient for 2021, we have Professor Bruce Rubich from the University of the Witwatersrand. His research interests are linked to vertebrate paleontology, Karoo geology and basin analysis, and Permo-Triassic therapists. I hope he knows what it is, because I don't even know whether I pronounced it properly. But Prof, I celebrate you, and well done for being an A-rated scientist for the second time in 2021. The next recipient, A-rated scientist for the second time, Professor Roger Smith from the Ezekiel Museums of South Africa. These research interests: Karoo sedimentology, vertebrate taphonomy, and Karoo biostratigraphy. Oh, this is some serious stuff. And I'm just glad you were at home, sir, because had you been here, I would have asked you to explain all of that to me in just 2 sentences. The next recipient, 2021, the award goes to Professor Yves van der Peer from the University of Pretoria, Department of Biochemistry. His research is linked to plant evolution, comparative genomics, evolution, and bioinformatics. Well done. Our second last recipient for the year 2021 is Professor Melanie Walker from the University of the Free State. Her research interests are linked to things like comparative and international education, human development and capabilities, democracy in higher education, and education inequality. Our last recipient 2021, A-rated scientist for the second time, is Professor Robert Wilkinson from the University of Cape Town. His research interests, he says, let me keep it simple, I'm interested in infectious diseases. So there we have it, all our A-rated scientists receiving this award for the second time, respectively for years 2020 and 2021. It's now my time to take a break, so I will hand over the microphone to the Deputy Chief Executive Officer, Research and Innovation Support and Advancement at the NRF, Dr. Ganson Pillay, to tell us more about the Acceleration Award and then also to announce this year's recipient. So let's welcome to the stage Dr. Ganson Pillay.
Distinguished guests, and it includes each and every one of you, both those of you who are here physically, as well as those of you who are watching us virtually. Thank you for joining us. Before I explain the rationale behind the Acceleration Award, I'm going to invite Honourable Member Nampundelo Makotra to please join me on stage as we make this award. So please. So a few years ago, we were looking at the awards and how best to honor, acknowledge, and affirm institutions that have actually improved their research productivity. And if you look at your program, you will see the word acceleration, coming from the words excellent or excellence, and acceleration as in moving fast. So largely, the defining features of the Acceleration Award is to recognize and acknowledge those universities in the country that have actually shown a vast improvement in their research productivity within a defined period of 3 to 5 years. It is not about the research intensive or the best universities in research, but it's rather a recognition of those universities that have made the effort to improve their research productivity. And we use a number of proxies. I would like to at this stage acknowledge Professor Johan Mouton from the University of Stellenbosch, who's helped us develop these proxies together with Elsevier and other publishing houses. It's an independent assessment where you take a number of factors into account, and in the methodology being used here, we look at the factors of the number of rated researchers in the last 3 to 5 years, the research productivity, the number of postgrad students that have been produced, the number of researchers and staff at the university that have attained a doctorate, the impact factor of the journals in which papers are published, etc. And having done the assessment in this current round, the National Research Foundation is extremely pleased to announce that the winner of this year's award is the Mangosuthu University of Technology from the Kingdom of KwaZulu-Natal. I am going to invite the representative from the Mangosuthu University of Technology, Dr. Makua, who's the acting Vice Chancellor Teaching and Learning, to accept this award on behalf of the university. I'm not sure whether Dr. Makua is with us today. If he isn't, can I ask Dr. Eldo Strubel to come and collect this award on their behalf, please?
Right, thank you very much. I'm just going to ask Dr. Pillay and Honorable Makachwa to just remain on stage and just assist with the next category. Our next category that we acknowledge and celebrate is the Science Team Award. And this is in recognition of the contributions, creativity, and achievements of a science team towards extending the boundaries of scientific research in Africa, producing science outcomes which have positively impacted society, and for the role they played in raising South Africa's international stature as a world-class research destination. So this year, the award goes to the Institute for the Development of Energy for African Sustainability, Ideas, UNISA. None of them. All right, unfortunately, they are unable to be with us, so I have to let you off the hook. I know you got all dressed up, and now people at home at least can see that you are dressed. So thank you for your willingness. Unfortunately, the representatives from the Institute are unable to be with us, but I'm just going to read a short citation so that we all just know what it was about. So groundbreaking scientific discoveries that can profoundly benefit society are often the result of individuals working as a team. The Institute for the Development of Energy for African Sustainability team and affiliates University of South Africa is one such a team that seeks to address a fundamental issue in the country, or our everyday reliance on electricity as an energy resource. Led by Professor Diane Hildebrand, the team has explored the use of biogas as a promising renewable energy technology. The Ideas team installed a bag-type biogas system on a small holding in Mildersdrift in 2015, and this first experimental pilot plant showed that the technology was simple, robust, cheap, safe to use. They further installed digesters in various communities, a green organic farm restaurant complex, and a school in an informal settlement near Johannesburg. So well done and congratulations again to our Science Team Award recipients, the Institute for the Development of Energy and African Sustainabilities. Thank you.
And for those of you who've not had the pleasure of meeting Honourable Member Makwacha, she is the new chair of the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee for Higher Education, Science and Technology. Thank you for joining us.
All right, so we are going to return to the A-rated science category for one last time. This time, however, we are looking at A-rated scientists who have received the award for 3 or more times. So again, I will do my best to pronounce the names, but also to give you a sense of what they were doing. So we're looking at the A-rated scientists for the year 2020, receiving A-rated science status. For the third time, we have Professor Cornelius van der Merwe. Now, Professor Cornelius van der Merwe is based at Department of Private Law at Stellenbosch University, and his research is linked to property law, comparative law, socio-legal history, and Roman law. Let's give a round of applause to our 2020 recipients. Right, so now we move into 2021. So A-rated scientists for the third time. First up, we have Professor Jill Farrant. Professor Jill is at the Department of Molecular and Cell Biology at the University of Cape Town, and her research is linked to things like plant desiccation tolerance, seed science, medicinal plants, specifically looking at natural products. The second recipient for the year 2021 is none other than Professor Michael Henning. Professor Michael Henning is based at the Department of Mathematics and Applied Mathematics at the University of Johannesburg, and his research expertise linked to graph theory, hypergraph theory, and discrete mathematics. The third recipient, 2021 A-rated scientist for the third time, is Professor Stephen Johnson. Professor Johnson is based at the School of Life Sciences at the University of KwaZulu-Natal, and his research interests are linked to the evolutionary ecology. So congratulations to you, Professor Stephen Johnson. Our fourth recipient for 2021 is Professor Regent Mestri. Professor Regent is based at the School of African and Gender Studies at the University of Cape Town, and he's specifically interested in things like sociolinguistics, language contact, English language, and the Indian diaspora. Our fifth recipient for 2021, A-rated scientist for the third time, is Professor Bob Scholes, posthumous. He was based at the University of Witwatersrand and of course involved in research projects linked to savanna ecology, global change, and Earth observation. Our sixth acknowledgement goes to Professor Mark Solms. Professor Mark Solms is based at the Department of Psychology at the University of Cape Town, and his research is linked to neuropsychology. The seventh awardee for 2021, A-rated scientist for the third year, none other than Professor Johannes van Oort. Professor van Oort is based at the Department of Systemic and Historical Theology, and his research is linked to patristics, early church history, Augustinian studies, and Latin language. Then still staying in 2021, but this time A-rated scientist for the fourth time. The award goes to Professor Charles van Onselen. Professor van Onselen is based at the Institute for Advancement and Scholarship, and his research interests are linked to the social sciences. You can also see there that he's authored a number of books. 2021 A-rated scientist for the fifth time. This award goes to Professor Richard Cowling. Professor Cowling is based at the School of Environmental Sciences at the Nelson Mandela University, and his research interest is linked to evolutionary ecology, paleobotany, restoration ecology, and citizen science. Then our last award for 2021, A-rated scientist for the eighth time. This award goes to Professor John Claymans, also posthumous. He was based at the University of Cape Town with research interests specifically in the area of theoretical physics. So those of you online and those of you in the audience would know that both Professor Claymans and Professor Bob Scholes passed away in 2021, but we are so blessed and privileged to have their spouses with us, even if it is on the virtual platform, Professor Mary Scholes and then Mrs. Ria Claymans and daughter Ms. Zilke Claymans. Thank you for being with us, and thank you for supporting your husbands as they journeyed through science and made amazing contributions. Let's give a round of applause to all our A-rated scientists as we celebrate them and acknowledge them for what they have done over many, many years. Our last award, the cherry on the cake, the one that you work for, is what we call the Lifetime Achievement Award. So this accolade is awarded to individuals considered to have made extraordinary contributions of international standard and impact to the development of science in and for South Africa over an extended period of time, what he or she stands for as a South African, and for the manner in which his or her work has touched and shaped the lives and views of many, many South Africans. So I'm going to call to the stage Dr. Phil Mjwacha, if you would be so kind to join me on stage, as well as Dr. Oboko, so that I can announce the Lifetime Achievement Awardee for 2020-2021. The award goes to none other than Professor Linda Richter.
I'm a developmental psychologist with a special interest in very early child development. That is the period from conception to a child's second or third birthday. While the human brain changes many times during our life, it is built only once during this critical period. We know from our own and other people's long-term studies that exposures and experiences in this early period have consequences for health and well-being throughout life. I've always wanted my research to matter, so all my studies, whether on basic or applied subjects, are directed to improving the conditions for children in feasible and sustainable ways.
Dr. Richter has a big global footprint in the field of early childhood development. As the chair of the steering committee that developed the third ECD Lancet series from advancing early childhood development from science to scale, Dr. Richter was instrumental in developing a clear narrative based on evidence that revitalized the concept of nurturing care. Because of her work and the way she inspires people, implementers and researchers alike, I continue to invest in evidence generation and synthesis to ensure that children not only survive, but also can thrive.
Professor Linda Richter reaches out to her students at both a personal and professional level. She is warm, strict, honest, and very understanding. I've worked with Professor Richter for a very long time, and what I like about her is that she opens doors and creates a seat in the table for younger and early career researchers. I myself grew a lot under her wing, and I learned to be a mentor, and I wish we had more professors like her.
Linda is a terrific scientist. She's an amazing communicator. She brings a love for science that is infectious. It fascinates us all. She's also a voracious reader, always reading about the new frontiers of science. This combination of leading mind that takes into new frontiers and communicating it makes her a tremendous scientist. And the field of early childhood is so grateful to have her leading our scientific endeavors.
Pursuing a scientific career is hugely fulfilling. I've enjoyed the puzzles and the challenges, but most of all, I've enjoyed the relationships with my own mentors, with my colleagues, and with my students. No one walks this road alone. All of them have contributed enormously to my achievements, including to be honored with this award. I'd like to thank all of them for having enriched my life so much.
Unfortunately, Professor Richter can't be with us this evening, but we have Professor Lynn Morris, who's the DVC researcher at the University of Witwatersrand, to accept the tokens on her behalf and then also to deliver her acceptance speech.
Well, thank you very much. And I'm really sorry that Linda couldn't be here. Her husband is actually critically ill, so we're all carrying her in our thoughts. But she just did ask me to read a short thank you speech. So thank you very much for selecting me for the Lifetime Achievement Award this year. I'm sure it was a difficult decision, given all the deserving South African scientists who are lifetime achievers. The challenges we currently face in South Africa and elsewhere highlight now how much South African scientists continue to contribute to the global reservoir of knowledge. I deeply appreciate the NRF's decision to acknowledge the importance of the study of childhood experiences and exposures and their impact on lifetime health and well-being, as well as their economic consequences for families, countries, and regions. And I'm deeply honored to be in the company of Teboho Moja, Bernie Faneroff, Brian O'Connell, Chobani Mangani, and Michael Feast. To be judged by peers is amongst the most disconcerting experiences, but to be recognized by peers, one of the most rewarding. Professor Mangani, a fellow psychologist, was an important mentor to me and significantly influenced my thinking and career choices. I've tried to build a body of work that is guided by values I hold dear: scientific rigor, an open mind, collaboration, humility, and with the chief purpose of improving the conditions in which children have a fair chance to reach their human potential. But no one walks a road of achievement alone or in an empty space. I have been privileged to work with remarkable mentors, colleagues and students, and to spend this part of my career at Wits University as the inaugural director of the DSI NRF Center of Excellence in Human Development, and now as a distinguished professor. The recognition conferred by this award belongs to them as much as to me. And I'd like to use this opportunity to thank all of them for supporting me and for sharing their talents and ingenuity with me. Many of these relationships have endured over decades, and I'm privileged to witness in turn the high achievements of former colleagues and students. I thank you all.
Thank you very much, Professor Morris, and then also a special word of thanks to Dr. Phil Mjwacha. Of course, he's the Director General, Department of Science and Innovation, and Dr. Oboko for assisting in just handing over those tokens. So we are more or less at the end of our program. It's now my privilege and my pleasure to invite to the podium the CEO of the National Research Foundation, Dr. Nel Wamondo, to share his closing remarks and passing thoughts.
Good evening. Maybe let me do it again. Good evening. Thank you. Distinguished guests, those who are here physically, and those who are joining virtually, it is my honor to talk to you. I think it's quite different to sort of have an interaction with people, isn't it? We've missed this for a while now. We have now come to the end of the formal proceedings of this evening. And I'm really happy and excited to have had you join this session today in recognizing and celebrating extraordinary scientific talent and the research excellence that South Africa can offer. It rings true that challenging times and dire situations tend to be a fertile ground for innovation. Your work to the awardees continues to showcase how science can find solutions to the society's many challenges and problems that we are all seeing in every part of our world. The increasing challenges that are faced or that we face due to COVID-19 outbreak, as well as other societal ills, have not only emphasized the importance of science or of research in society, but also shown a very bright light on the ability of our scientists, both established and those who are very early in their careers, that your relevance is probably more important now than ever before. We have seen sterling work on a broad spectrum of areas, including the vaccine research, the development of diagnostics, monitoring and modeling of the spread of the pandemic, health policy research, science advocacy, as well as opportunities for the public engagement with science. I think this part, I have to emphasize that the relevance of the public engagement with science was brought to the fore during this period of COVID, where there was a whole lot of alternative truth that were all available, and the public had to sort of engage with science and decipher which truth is the correct one, what do I need to listen to. So I think this again calls for us to continue engaging the public, and I'm saying engaging, not educating them, but I think we need to sort of have a serious engagement with the public in terms of how we can translate science in a manner that they can understand it. Honorable Minister Dr. Blade Nzimande, in his absence here, and Honorable Deputy Minister Mr. Manamela, let me thank you for taking your time to joining us. I know that your schedules are very busy with the elections that just ended, so thank you very much. Chairperson of the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee on Higher Education, Science and Technology, Honorable Mkacho, thank you very much for joining us. I understand your schedule as well is very tight, and thank you. We are waiting for the results now. Members of the diplomatic community who are with us here, Director General, Dr. Mjwar, thank you for joining us as well. And the whole Department of Science and Innovation, let me thank you for your continued support. I think these awards would not have happened without the support of the department. So thank you so much. The CEOs of our sister science councils and the representatives of our partners in the Global Research Council, thank you for joining us tonight. Our continued commitment to collaborative efforts to drive research excellence and address the major challenges facing science systems locally and globally will stand us in good stead for future growth and development. The leadership of the higher education institutions, represented by Vice Chancellors and Deputy Vice Chancellors, who are joining us, some here and some virtually, thank you for your presence today and for your ongoing support as well. To the Chairperson of the NRF Boards, Dr. Nompumelelo Oboko, and other members of the NRF Board, your presence today and your ongoing support to the NRF is sincerely appreciated. So thank you very much. I would like to also acknowledge the leadership of the NRF, represented by various managers within the organization, who are also part of this session. Let me thank you very much, and I would also like to thank or to extend these thanks to all the employees of the organization. To see these awards, you can imagine the amount of work that takes place on the background, the rating processes, the setting up of all those panels, and every other thing that goes with it. So let me thank all the employees of the NRF for that. To Professor Richter, our NRF Lifetime Achievement Awardee for tonight, as well as all other awardees that we were celebrating today. Congratulations once again. I encourage you to continue with the excellent work that you have earned this accolade. But don't spend too much time in the celebration. There's so much work that needs to be done. If we really have to change society, if we really need to change South Africa, we really need to work. So there's so much work ahead of us. To our young researchers, and I have to emphasize this element on the young researchers. We see you as the future, as the gems of this country. And we are willing to support you in whatsoever we can, however way that is possible. So feel free to reach out to us, come to us and engage with us and see how much we can support you in the journey. We do believe that we should be able to change the face of some of these awards. Probably in future, we should be seeing most of these young faces coming into these awards. So we really, really appreciate your work, and we really want to support you. It's very, very important that we work together going forward. I am very confident that your legacies, still to the young researchers, will in turn inspire the future generation of scientists in their own pursuit of excellence. Our sponsor, Elsevier, thank you for your generous and continued support. This is much appreciated. To our program director, as always, you have always been excellent, and you did it again today, so thank you. Although the load shedding almost stripped you, but you did well, thank you. I look forward to engaging with you again further, so thank you so much. Many of us here have helped the NRF become what it is today, and I look forward to your continued support. I think I'm using the word collaboration, that we need to collaborate. It's not just us sort of funding or supporting you in one way, but let's work together in changing the system. So we have so much work to do. And maybe in closing, let me just remind ourselves that science remains the key to a reimagined, innovative future. Let us continue to do the worthwhile work by advancing knowledge, transforming lives, and inspiring the nation. And I will add and saying, inspiring the world. So ladies and gentlemen, a sincere thank you to each one of you for joining us this evening. Let me say good evening once more, and for those who are away, I think we're going to get into the festivities here. So those who are joining virtually, you'll miss out. But no worries, next time probably we'll try to accommodate you. So we are going to end the program here, and there will be enough time for us to then socialize and have a chat outside. So let me thank you, and thank you once more.
Right. Thank you very much, Dr. Nel Wamondo, for those words of encouragement. And I think you kind of just echoed that statement by Nelson Mandela that said, after climbing a hill, stop, celebrate where you are, but then understand that there's a lot more climbing that we need to do. And out of chaos, that's where hope is born, because there's something to look forward to. We understand that we can make a contribution, but we also understand the importance of being part of a community. So thank you for being here, those of you who are willing to come out and celebrate with us in person. Then, of course, to all our online viewers, our audience, and our awardees, well done and congratulations to you. You can now pop your bubbly. You can let your hair down, but please close the curtains because the neighbors might be watching. So enjoy the celebration. We are proud of you, and we are looking forward to many more contributions in the years to come. The rest of us, there'll be a bit of a cocktail afterwards, but please remember we are still under a pandemic. So let's please continue to practice social distancing, and even though we interact and we celebrate, let's do that in a safe and responsible manner. So thank you for you online. That is all we have from here. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we are sure to enjoy what is on the plate for us. All right, so as you go out to the area where the cocktails are served, I'm just going to ask that all our recipients who are here in the auditorium, that you'll just remain behind, because we just want to get some final photos on stage.